Welcome back to another month of VR gaming news. After a lengthy activation phase, the VR industry is back in force. We actually have a lot of upcoming games to talk about, so let's get right into it. The only noteworthy release of last month was the fast-paced action roguelike Hellsweeper, the newest offering by Mixed Realms, the studio behind Siren 2, that dropped on September 21st on all major VR platforms. Mixed Realms are one of the few VR developers that don't restrict their games by comfort concerns. The focus here was to create balls to the wall intense action, and if you are up to that, the game seems to deliver. Upload VR gave it the recommended badge. Quote, Hellsweeper VR is a masterclass in virtual violence for those with the stomach, or rather the VR legs. For its unyielding intensity and a penchant for skipping straight into the action, Hellsweeper VR is unmissable. Filled with blistering battles that beg you to master a wide range of gameplay styles, it really is a hell of a good time. End quote. A warning for PSVR 2 players, in its current state the game does not look good. People even say that the Quest 2 version looks better. Mixed Realms have acknowledged that they messed up here and promised to bring the visuals up to par with PSVR 2 standards. So if you play on the PSVR 2, it might be better to hold off for now and wait to see if they make good on that promise. For now, the best way to play is on PC. Dungeons of Eternity is an up to 3-player co-op hack-and-slash dungeon crawler. A cataclysmic cosmic event threatens your homeworld. Your only hope of survival lies in the endless labyrinths beneath the planet known as Eternity. Delve into randomly generated dungeons with different objectives, dispose of your enemies in physics-based combat using swords, axes, bows and magic, and collect all the loot. Between runs you can customize your character and upgrade your equipment to make you all the more ready for another go at the endless Dungeon of Eternity. That's it. This is the first game by newly founded studio Othergate, which is comprised of former Oculus employees, so new studio but lots of VR experience. Dungeons of Eternity is scheduled for a release on October 6th only on the Quest 2 for about $30/euros. This is a show about games, but the Quest is a pretty big deal for VR, so I'm at least going to mention it. Yeah, the Quest 3 launches on October 10th. There's a 128 gigs version for $500 and a 500 GB version for $650. Details about this thing were revealed on the recent Meta Connect that was pretty hard to watch, to be honest. It's astonishing how disconnected from its customers a company can be. But they do make good hardware, at least the branch of Meta that formerly was Oculus. The Quest 3 comes with the Snapdragon XR Gen 2 chipset that promises twice the graphics processing power as its predecessor, 8 gigs of RAM, up to 120Hz refresh rate, pancake lenses for a leaner form factor and better visual clarity, 110-degree horizontal field of view, and decent pass-through cameras for mixed reality capability. Drawbacks are a pretty short battery life and no eye tracking. I'm sure it's going to be a great headset. It won't make a splash as the Quest 2 did, it's just a bit too expensive for that, but still looking pretty impressive. By the way, the Quest is completely downward compatible, so when I say a game comes to the Quest 2, it will also be playable on the Quest Pro, not that anybody has one of those, and the Quest 3. So far there are no games announced that will be exclusive to the Quest 3, but that will come sooner or later.
Old Man Stauff built a house and filled it with his toys. 6 guests came one night. Their screams the only noise.
The 7th Guest was a point-and-click adventure that released back in 1993 for MS-DOS. It was one of the first games to only release on CD-ROM at a time when floppy disks were still pretty much the norm. With over 2 million copies sold, the game is regarded as the killer app that largely accelerated the distribution of CD-ROM drives. Vertigo Games, the studio behind Arizona Sunshine and After the Fall, took it upon themselves to recreate this mystery puzzle adventure for VR. In the game you explore the mansion of the eccentric toy maker Henry Stauff. Ghostly visions haunt that place of a fateful night where 6 guests were invited to the mansion, none of them ever to be seen again. In recreating the game for VR, Vertigo turned the classical point-and-click adventure into more of an escape room-like puzzler, with some puzzles being new and some from the original game completely rebuilt for VR to be far more tactile. One of the defining features of the original game was that it used live action video clips for the ghostly apparitions of the 6 guests. The remake does the same thing. Now it is in full 3D and you can see the performances from every angle. The 7th Guest VR has its release date set to October 19th for all major VR platforms. No price announced so far.
But Old Man Stauff is waiting there. Crazy, sick, and mean. The air is thick and filled with dread. You know that the end is near, but there is no turning back.
Imagine playing a tabletop RPG but without the annoying necessity of imagination. That is what Dungeon Full Dive is trying to do. Each player can create his character, not only the stats but also the model. There will be a selection of battle maps ready for use, which you can freely edit or you can create your own. Turn-based combat can be played out either from an observer's perspective where you see your character as a miniature, or you can do the full dive and experience the scene from the perspective of your character. The game master can also take up the role and personally control any NPC in the game. The claim is that you can play any tabletop RPG you want by modifying the character sheets in-game. It specifically comes with the support for 5th edition D&D. It will even ship with pre-built campaigns if you do not want to create your own. Oh, and did I mention that you don't have to leave your house anymore to meet up with your group? Good times. Dungeon Full Dive will be playable on a flat screen and in VR with full crossplay, but PC only for now. An early access release on Steam is scheduled for October 23rd, no price is announced yet.
Tell me, adventurers, what will you do with the power of Dungeon Full Dive?
The Devourer is an up to 5-player co-op horror game. Every player picks one of 5 investigators, each with their own skills and special ability. Together you venture out into the forest and unravel the tragic story of that place, while trying to lift the curse. There will be puzzles to solve that dynamically adjust to the number of players, so there will be different tasks for different player numbers. Even if a player drops out during a run, puzzles will adjust. That's a nice little detail. The Devourer Hunted Souls will be playable on a flat screen or in VR. An early access release is scheduled for October 26 for $10/€. Be aware though that the game will enter early access with only 1 of 6 planned chapters, so it will be a bit light on content for now, and the VR implementation is also rather basic, but with plans to get it fleshed out during the early access period.
San Francisco. The city by the bay is under siege by forces not of this world. We need new heroes. Fearless recruits, with the guts to look evil in the eye. Who we gonna call? You.
Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord is an up to 4-player co-op ghost hunting game by In Dreams, the studio that recently released the PSVR 2 exclusive roguelike shooter Synapse. You can customize your character, embark on missions in different game modes, level up, upgrade your gear and display your captured ghosts in your own Ghostbusters headquarters that is now located in San Francisco. There are already a couple of hands-on impressions available that are all not very positive. The game seems to be mainly made for kids, so if you watch the original Ghostbuster movies as a kid yourself, you are probably not the target audience. While it looks and feels good, at least on PlayStation, the gameplay is just not there to keep the game engaging. But keep in mind, these were just Gamescom hands-on impressions, not necessarily representative of the final product. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lords re-released for the PSVR 2 and the Quest 2 on October 26. There will be a standard editions for $35 and a full containment edition including some skins and such for $55. Did I mention skins? Yeah, what we really need is more microtransactions in games for children. Gotta get them early, right?
Ghostbusters, Rise of the Ghost Lord.
Oh yeah, and these guys, mini pups, they can be a real pain in the...
The Empire teeters on the edge of an abyss.
Get down!
But I am convinced that we can pull it back from the brink.
It is over a century ago that psychohistorian Henry Seldon predicted the downfall of the Empire and the coming 30,000 years of darkness and chaos. You are an agent of the Commission of Public Safety, a shadowy organization that maintains order in the Empire. What began as a simple mission to investigate deserters in the periphery quickly evolves into a battle for the future of humanity. You must journey to Foundation. Man, I don't get to read anymore, but there was a time when I was reading a lot, and Isaac Asimov's Foundation is one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time, head to head with Frank Herbert's Dune maybe. Journey to Foundation is a story-driven spy thriller. You can use several approaches to each problem: diplomacy, subterfuge or force. You have access to mental abilities, a highly customizable weapon and a multi-tool for your hacking and cutting needs. Journey to Foundation comes to the PSVR 2, Quest 2 and Pico on October 26. The price was not announced yet. At launch there won't be a PC version, but that might come later, according to the developers on Twitter.
You have to die. Saving humanity isn't a bad way to go.
So like I said, you're taking the long way. But the last person went missing and...
Well, fancy seeing you here.
The Foglands is an action roguelike first-person shooter. They call it an anti-western, not exactly sure what that means, but the trailer music gives me some strong Firefly vibes that makes me at least a little bit excited. You play as a runner whose task it is to go out into an ever-shifting world of fog, to collect loot and fend off the twisted monsters that emerge from the dark, with the ultimate goal to defeat the giant worm-like creature that threatens the hold, assisted by the mysterious stranger who offers cards that grant you powerful abilities. The game has all the typical roguelike tropes. In each run you get randomized upgrades, you can collect materials to progress between runs, you know the drill. The Foglands will come to the PS5 on October 31st for $35. You can play as on the PSVR 2 or on a flat screen. There will also be a Quest and a PC version also VR and flat screen compatible. No dates are announced for those so far.
Now, what do you say?
As always, we are closing off with some games that get ported to different platforms. As a start, a short shout out to Paper Beast, a very unique puzzle adventure game that first released a bit over 3 years ago on all VR platforms. Since September 27th, it is also available for the PSVR 2 for $25. If you own the PSVR 1 version, you can upgrade for $5. Then we have Galaxy Kart. Think Mario Kart in first person and VR. The game originally released in March for the PSVR 2 and was pretty much ignored by the media. The few reviews and impressions that are obtainable are all, well, let's say the game has potential. It just doesn't use it. It feels light on content and unfinished. On October 5th, Galaxy Kart gets a Steam Early Access release, so let's hope that the studio can use the Early Access phase to add the content and polish the game needs to fulfill its potential to be a worthy -- world competitor. Ghost Signal is an action roguelike set in the Stellaris universe. You control your ship, the Aurora, from a third-person perspective and partake in dynamic space wars in an ever-changing universe. The game originally released also in March, only on the Quest 2 to very positive reviews. On October 5th it gets a Steam and the PSVR 2 release. BLINNK and the Vacuum of Space is a stress-free VR adventure that was specifically designed for autistic gamers. With the Vacuumer 5000 in hand, it is your task to catch all the little groups. The game originally released early this year on Steam, not much to go on for reviews. The PSVR 2 version drops on October 10th, no price is announced yet. You remember Angry Birds? The mobile game hit from over a decade ago made the jump to VR in 2019 via a port by Resolution Games that released on all major VR platforms. And yeah, people really liked it. The game sets a 90% very positive on Steam. On October 10th you can kill pigs by slinging birds at them on the PSVR 2. The game will be priced at $15. If you own the PSVR 1 version you can upgrade for $10. The action-adventure Vertigo 2 is on many a must-have list of essential VR games. The game released in March to raving reviews. It still sits at a 96% overwhelmingly positive on all reviews on Steam. On October 24th, the game will drop for the PSVR 2. The Steam version costs about $30, so expect a similar price for the PlayStation 1. That is it for the upcoming VR games of October. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you always want to stay up to date on new VR games coming to all VR platforms. Next month we will most likely talk about Vampire the Masquerade Justice, Arashi Castles of Sins, Assassin's Creed Nexus, Tiger Blade, Stranger Things VR and more. Stay tuned.